I'm certified kitchen designer Doug Trussoni, and thanks for watching our video, B in the series of ABC Kitchens of Design. In video A, we learned about the associations and the availability of sizes that you can use to design a kitchen. Well, today we'll be building a kitchen. And when we build that kitchen, we'll also be measuring so we know what sizes we can apply and what spaces we have to apply those to. I'll be showing you the accurate and concise way to measure spaces so that hopefully you can avoid mistakes. Again, I always recommend that you seek the advice of a professional kitchen designer. There's a few things you'll need today, and that would be a ruler, pencil, monster eraser, because I'm sure you'll have a few mistakes, a calculator, and a 1/2 inch scale straight edge. Let's go ahead and get started.
All right, in working with our room, we always want to make sure we know the center of any windows or doorways because most of the time we want to align our cabinetry with those doorways or windows, or at least avoid them if not plan with them. So in this case, I'm showing you that I'm measuring a window. And in measuring the window, I want the overall dimension, including the trim. I'm going to divide that into two, and then I'm going to make a mark on the center line of the window. Now, what this is going to do for me is obviously divide the difference because in just about 90% of the applications, we have a sink that's going to be centered in a window. And that's what's going to be happening in the plan that we'll be doing today. Uh, Also, what I like to do is measure from both directions of wall space. And when I do measure from both directions, I measure to the center and I also measure to the edge of the window. And remember that when you do your planning, you always want to allow some type of margin on each side of the trim. So for today, we'll be designing an L-shaped kitchen that'll be 128 by 122 inches. This L shape is a kitchen design that is in a showroom, and we're going to redesign it just as though it was in a home. So the wall on the right is 122 inches long. Now what I do is when I'm measuring, I know I usually prefer a Lazy Susan cabinet in the corner. And if you remember in lesson A, it's available in two sizes, 33 or 36 inches. Well, fortunately, I'm thinking I'm going to be able to pull off the 36 inch. So that's what I have done is made a pencil mark on that countertop at 36 inches. This gives me an opportunity to measure the balance and realize that in that balance of space, I have to get a refrigerator and I also have to get a range. Refrigerator we'll be using today is going to be 36 inches wide, and we'll be using a typical 30-inch freestanding range. Now, I already know the center dimension of my window, so from right to left, I'll be going ahead and working off of that center. And so for our planning purposes, and please follow along and start drawing if you can, this L-shaped kitchen, our window center is 69 inches. The outside to outside dimension of this window is 36 inches. We're going to be using a 33 by 22 self-rimming sink in this, and also a 24-inch dishwasher. So please make notes of the appliances we'll be using. Again, the 36 fridge, 24-inch dishwasher, 30-inch range, and a 30-inch above range microwave. 1/2 inch equals 12 inches. Here I'm showing a graph paper. Each small square will represent 3 inches, vertically or horizontally. That would be your 1/2 inch scale. So each large square on your ruler should equal 1 foot. 1/2 inch scale is traditional to kitchen design. It's easier to read, and quite frankly, it's the right way to do it. So here I'm showing on our CAD drawing our dimensions. And as you remember earlier, showing the 128 by 122. Because I'm only working with cabinet dimensions, I'm drawing it at 128 and 120. There's my Lazy Susan on the right. I've got room for a 15-inch cabinet next to it. And bingo, there's my sink at 36 inches. But my first placement was my sink because I always want to work from the center of a room or center of a window. And the reason I do that is because as you see the spacer that I just placed on the left-hand side for the base cabinet, that will tell me where I need to fill any void areas in the room. So taking a look at the design, Lazy Susan, 15-inch base, 36-inch sink, dishwasher, drawer stack, and then a spacer. Now, I know I need to get a range in there, so we'll go ahead and plug in our 30-inch stove. If you look at the balanced space on that 120 inches, I already know I'm going to use a 36-inch refrigerator, so it's pretty much a natural that I've got the 18 inches left. And then with my refrigerator on the end, remember, the actual wall dimension is 122 inches. So I have 2 inches of what we refer to as a reveal. And it's good to have reveal next to tall especially, because if a wall's crooked or there's any odd variations, you can accommodate that. Moldings, things like that. All right, lesson 8, we talked about wall blind corner cabinets and how they work as far as being able to be pulled away from a wall, the adjustability. Well, here we're using one. The reason I'm using it is because in order for my margins to work, I'll actually need to pull this away from the corner 1 inch. So if you watch these dimensions, you'll notice that on the right, it was just a little farther off the window edge than it was to the left. I'll concentrate more on that in a minute. So off to the 36-inch edge of the Lazy Susan going next to our range, I put a 21-inch cabinet next to that wall blind corner. And remember, we always use a spacer next to a blind. So that actually occupies 24 inches of space. So the 12-inch depth of the wall cabinet, the 3-inch spacer, and the 21-inch wall, that's 36 inches. I'm going to be using 12-inch high above my appliances. That's what I prefer to use when it comes to a space saver microwave. And I also prefer to use a 12-inch above a refrigerator because you can always go bigger in height and never have to worry about it. Plus, as you'll look at the finished plan, it's very symmetrical. I'm sure you noticed that I had an 18-inch to the right of the stove, and then the balance was that 36-inch refrigerator. See how clean that looks? The door above the fridge, door above the range, 12 inches tall. Also note how nice the microwave looks because it's up just a smidge above the cabinets next to it. And remember, we're maintaining 18 inches of counter space here, and our wall cabinets were set at 84 inches. So now we're going to do the diagonal corner, which occupies 24 by 24 inches of space. And remember, I pulled that blind corner 1 inch. So there's my little 1 inch filler because I pulled the 1 inches, which is 49 inches. So I know automatically I need that amount of space. And that's where I would want to put a spacer is between 2 cabinets. Then on the right, we want to occupy 36 inches of space. So since the diagonal is 24 inches, I can plug in a 12-inch wall cabinet and we have 36 inches. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. It looks nice, but there's some odd sized doors in there. Things aren't quite as symmetrical as what we were hoping for. So just to recap on measuring, all of our widths, all of our heights, windows, doorways, trims, mark it all down so that you've got it. Then on your paper, you'll draw walls. So what I do is I draw the interior of the room, 128 by the 122, and then draw approximately a 4-inch rectangle around that, which will represent your walls. So as you see, there's my walls. There's my 120 plus the extra 2 inches. So let's take a look at our plan. We drew a Lazy Susan. As you can see, that's 3 foot away from the corner with our 1/2-inch scale. And then you add that 30 inches, there's 66 inches, 5 foot plus the 2 squares, that's 66. Then our 18 inches, which brings us out to 7 foot from the corner, plus our 3-foot refrigerator. Success, it's 120 inches, and we have the 2-inch margin up above left. That's excellent. That's what you want. Coming out of the corner, you'll notice it's at 3 feet. Remember, you always want to work from the center of your windows out, and all this stuff will work perfect for you. You never know. Your drawing, you might need a spacer on each side of a sink. Remember, fillers are your friends. There's nothing wrong with using a spacer if you need to. Yep, there's my notation on the 1-inch filler. That's that little blotch there, but it is there. There's our 36-inch sink cabinet. There's our 24-inch dishwasher. And then there's our 15-inch base cabinet, and then again the spacers. You'll notice on the wall cabinet just above the dishwasher I have the little X hash mark. That's just a little reference line that I use to make sure that everything is parallel and lined up. There again is my spacer. The reason we have a spacer is it was 128 inches, but we have 126 inches of actual cabinets. There's 2 inches left over. And since we work from the center of our window, and we work from the right to left at an even 69 inches, the balance is pretty obvious that it's on the left-hand side. And that was that 2 inches. So do the math. 59 inches less 39 inches less 18, which is half the window. That's a balance of 2 inches. So working from the 69 inches, you subtract the 49 inches we did for the wall cabinet. That leaves you 20 inches. 18 inches is the center point of the window, or half. That's a balance of 2 inches. Perfect 2-inch reveals on both sides of the window. And now that kitchen is on fire. See you next video.